Hello there, I'm Tim Curran, half of the finance couple, and welcome to 2-Minute Tuesdays with Tim, where we look to infuse financial planning with just a little bit of common sense. Speaking of which, we had an interesting question. Someone asked the other day, they said, hey, why is it that good news is seemingly bad news with the markets? And what I think this gentleman was referring to is we just got a new jobs report. Non-farm payrolls were actually much higher than we expected for October. And all of a sudden, the stock market started heading down. And people were saying, wait a minute, non-farm payrolls, that means more people are getting jobs. And people are getting a bit higher wages, close to 5% increases in wages year over year. So that's all good news, isn't it? Well, yes, it is good news. But on the flip side, remember that the Federal Reserve is in the midst of trying to actively slow down the economy, which will hopefully put a lid on inflation, bring inflation rates back down. So the fact that the job market continues to do really pretty well, that means that the Federal Reserve still has a tough job to do to slow down the economy and bring inflation rates back down. This explains why we have currently what's called an inverted yield curve, meaning the shorter end of the yield curve, for instance, a 1 or 2 year or even a 10-year, a 1 or 2 year treasury bond yield is actually higher than the yield on a 10 or 30-year treasury bond. Why is that? Well, because rates are higher, because inflation is higher. But what it's saying is, yes, the Fed is actively increasing interest rates to slow down the economy and thus bring down inflation. But if you go out 10, 30 years, the bond market is essentially looking into the future saying, we're guesstimating that the Fed will be successful and will be able to slow down the economy, and thus yields are lower on the long end. That's why we have an inverted yield curve. I know this gets a little confusing, but again, the fact of the matter is sometimes, strangely enough, good news like the job report can turn into bad news for the market. I hope that helps. Please give us a call, shoot us an email if you have any questions or any questions you want me to answer in the future on 2-Minute Tuesdays. Have a great rest of the week. And please, by all means, as I like to say, mind your state of mind. Take care. Bye.